Right, good morning. Observing the observer. It's a meditation practice or a meditation move where we focus on an object, a breath, an external object, a broad view, anything, and then flip the script, flip the story, and look for the point that the observation or the attention begins. And that flip leads to a sort of transformation in our broader sense of self, non-self, a broader sense of what the self is. But I want to talk about that transformation because there's nothing that is being transformed. You know what I mean? This is not a manipulation of experience. It's not an altering of experience. It is a clarification of experience, and it is the act of observing is sufficient to untangle the confusion of the self. So there's a lot there. So let's unpack it. Right. I've been reading a book lately by Jay Garfield. I'll put a link down in the comments. And he starts off with a distinction between the self and the person. Now, you could argue, and he anticipates this argument, that this is a semantic switch that doesn't really help. But let's say that there's a useful distinction between the person, which is this sort of ever-changing flow of experience, right? It is the moment-by-moment unfolding of phenomena, thoughts, sensations, actions, that is present now, but that has always been present and always will be present. There's no point where this flow of experience or this flow of phenomena begins or ends. There's no hard point in the past at which there was a solid moment or a solid set of attributes, and there's no point in the future where there's a solid set, and there's no point in the now. And we are observing this experience. One part of that experience is this sense of an encapsulated self. And that's the part that draws in confusion, causes suffering, causes mistaken assessment, because we observe the held sense of self as if it were immutable, as if it were not also part of the ever-changing flow of experience and phenomena. Right? So I find this distinction, we could use different words. We could use the rhinoceros and the elephant, where the elephant is the flow of experience and the rhinoceros is a hard and fast grasp on a particular configuration, a particular instance, and say this instance is who I am, and this instance, this particular set of attributes will not change. Looking for that self and seeing it, I can see what I think is myself, but on observation, that self does not sustain itself. Observing the observer is sufficient to dismantle the sense of the observer. Because if I look at that observer with openness and clarity, it is immediately apparent that sense of a permanent self is just a grasp on a particular set of attributes from a particular moment. The image that comes to my mind sometimes is if there were a pipe of water and I put my hands into the water, grasped at it, there will be water in my hands. But there's no sense that water that I've grasped in my hands is the flow of water from the pipe, or if I put my hands in the river or even a pool of water. My hands will get wet. There will be a wetness and then I could look and say, well, this is the pond, this is the river. But it isn't, is it? It is a moment grasp, and then the franticness that's required to maintain that grasping. Think that I'm trying to grasp the pipe of experience with my hands, becomes more and more frantic, more and more anxious, more and more deluded, and then that in turn leads to miscalculation and suffering. But the sense of the self doesn't go away. At least it has not gone away for me, but it has reached a different perspective where I can observe it the same way that I observe the pain in my knee. And within the meditation session on my cushion, those experiences arise along with all other experiences. Now the challenge is to take it then and hold on to that when I'm at work in my office, or when I'm here recording a YouTube video, and or interacting with another person in any capacity. What level of that personness, that fluidity, is useful, because that sense of self, that ego, is incredibly useful if I'm uploading a video, or if I'm working to get a paycheck. Those things are necessary to sustain the metabolism of this body that then is part of that experience. But keep in my mind that all of that is just another set of attributes, and it takes energy to maintain the illusion that those attributes continue. Nothing needs to change. I wrote this down in my notes here. We are not using the meditation practice to get high, to trip, to alter our consciousness. Although getting high and tripping may reverse into the experience. But I don't want to speak about that. That isn't part of my practice. My practice is arriving at this insight through meditation. Scrutinizing with stability, that where does the attention begin? Brings to the forefront what seems to be the observer, and then continued scrutiny of that makes it apparent that that observer is just another uprising, just another fluorescence on the flow of experience. I lost my metaphor there. Fluorescence on the flow? No, fluorescence on the... so that's probably a good indicator that it should stop. My phone froze while I was recording. I was trying to articulate I'd used the word fluorescence on the flow, and I think that's a malapropism, and I'm not sure what to use instead. So I maybe will just stop with a restatement that the first reaction when we look for the observer is to see an observer. It is to see the self. But continued observation of the self very quickly reveals that self is part of the immediate fluorescence of experience. So with that, keep your wits about you. Drop me a note in the comments. Like, subscribe, do all of that. And please let me know if you have questions.